All right, good morning. We're here with Nancy Nation, and as you remember, last time we had another video and we talked briefly about your overall and right here we're just checking, see how you're doing, what's the status. Let's talk about first your Domino series.
Okay.
Let's what's going on with that series and as far
Well,
as
it's
writing.
basically how we might live in the future on Mars, and some of the things that I invented a few things that are happening now, and the series kind of goes through a like a detective series. There is always a mystery. That's kind of sad, but and I have 8 books in the series.
We were talking earlier that for this one, you kind of don't know where it's going to go, right? You don't know the ending yet. It's kind of
Right.
flowing,
It just
right?
I put the characters in a certain situation, and just from my many years of watching movies and reading books, I kind of know what these characters are going to do, and so that's how it came to be. This is my first book when I joined the Writers on the Edge Club, and it's just sort of expanded.
Just on a side note, how long ago was this book?
This was published in 2013. I started writing in 2011, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Right, that's not a lot of time. You have a lot of books there, so
But most of the time, it takes me, I do 2 or 3 books a year. And of course, NaNoWriMo, I do 1 book. NaNoWriMo is where you're supposed to write 50,000 words in 30 days in the month of November.
Right, I did that this year, and I actually came up. It actually helps out a lot.
And that sort of brings me to this series, because this is basically all NaNoWriMo books. I did this one. I was so worried about not finishing it in 30 days. I thought about it since September and had it all written in my head by the end of October, and I did this in 11 days.
Yeah.
These took about 17 days to do.
Now these right here, that's your urban fantasy.
Yes, urban
series.
fantasy. It's present time, and this lady had recently lost her husband to a tragic car accident, and so she's still confused of what's going on. Her friend is helping her. One day she walks into her living room and disappears, and so her adventure through that world, and the people there convince her we have to get back because we think somebody did something to your husband. And so that's how the story goes.
And how many books are on this one so far?
There's 4. We got the pottery sale. I did the pottery sale because my sister is an avid potter. And so there's a chapter in here all about pottery. And of course, this is very convoluted because we have a murderer, we have a witch, and we have a drug lord.
Okay.
And so they're all interconnecting with each other until finally they do get rid of the witch. This one, she goes on a cruise and she sees a ghost because somebody died. This one, the witch comes back. And so they're trying to get rid of her. So
Okay.
that's what that is.
So these are your 2 main series, but you are starting a new one, right? And I
Right.
believe it's that one over there.
I have a mystery series over here. I took this trip. It's a mystery along the Danube. And so there's a kind of a mystery, something's lost and there's a thief. And she's reading this book. It's about the area. And it helps her with the clues. And so what I did, the book's still in here, but I took it out and made it a separate little book so people can read about trying to get married in the 15th century.
Right. We were talking about actually on the last video when you mentioned that you've been to some of the places, right?
Yes.
In that.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that that's the first in your travel series. Your next book is going to be in Italy, right?
Right. It's a mother and daughter combination, and from this trip, they get a voucher from the cruise line, so they decide to go on the next trip. And meanwhile, and they're trying to, at the same time, the suspect crosses their path. So she's dealing with that.
Now, about the side storybook that you were mentioning, in that first book, she's reading the
Yes,
other book,
yes,
right,
she's
as
reading
the other
this book.
stories going along. And I found that very interesting because you kind of You know,
Yeah.
you can, but that's not the only side story you have, right? You also have, I believe, this one for
Right.
this series, right? Can you tell us a little bit about this side story?
I compiled, and she took her cat to Mars.
Okay.
Okay, well, and the moon. And
Which people would do if
Well,
we were to go to Mars. People.
her reasoning is to see how animals fare, you know.
That's fair. Scientific.
Oh, yes. Anyway, so the first 3 books, there's this cat. He's a tuxedo cat. And he's very opinionated. When they get to, this book, the 3rd book, him and the dog, they have a conversation and eventually they save the day. And so I compiled all the little stories about the cat in the cat's perspective. Any sales I make from this, I donate to the Humane Society. My last statement of this sort of says it all. Frederick, the cat, will never die only because his story is fiction and will relive over and over by the reading of my books. Cherish every moment you have with your pets because the real ones die too soon. So.
And that is true. You know, I think we all remember that one
Yes.
that we wish we didn't. Now, as far as the as your writing goes, you were mentioning that you know you don't suffer from writer's block, and we were talking about that. You want to talk?
No,
about
I
that?
haven't yet. You know, if I'm a little bit I call it time to develop your next scene. I call that period of time because life interferes, and so you're not going to be able to write all the time. And so a lot of times, if I just take a walk around a couple of blocks, then you start thinking about it. And the characters are so that whatever they are and the location you have developed, they're going to react in that location. And so they just continue on with their thing.
All right. Well, we're glad that you're here, and if you want to come back after the 2nd book in this series for
Yeah.
the travel, you're more than welcome. Anything you want to mention to your viewers about something maybe we missed about specific?
The last book over there, Eye of the Matrix. There will be another book out of that this summer called Eye of the Throne. And it's 10 years beyond the Domino series because it involves a teenager and his friends and they go to another planet.
Right, and you were mentioning that teenager is born in this one, right?
Right, he was born in this book. And so we kind of follow his growth in a way. And then online I have some outtakes from that. So.
Okay, that's good. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, and
Thank you.
We'll have you back when you get the other book, and
Okay.
we'll have take a read of that.
Okay,
All right,
thank you very much.
Thank you.